Every business has accounting data, but here's the dirty secret that's likely costing you thousands. Your QuickBooks data is probably practically invisible to your business operations. And I'm about to show you how to fix this in about half an hour, maybe a little bit more, using Bubble. And trust me, after 40 years in tech and helping hundreds of businesses scale, this integration has transformed more companies than any other single feature we've built. Look, I've been building applications since before most of you have been alive. From IBM's secret AIX team back in Austin, Texas, many, many moons ago, to helping startups scale with no-code technologies today. And I can tell you this, the biggest competitive advantage hiding in plain sight isn't about having better developers or more funding. It's about having your data work for your business instead of being trapped in a silo. Here's what happened to one of our clients, and let's call her Maria. She was running a fitness coaching business, making good money, but every month she'd spend days trying to figure out her actual profitability. And she had QuickBooks tracking everything perfectly, but her Bubble application where she managed clients and scheduling and operations, they were completely disconnected. Basically, she was running two businesses, her accounting business and her real business, and they never talked to each other. Sound familiar? So in this video, I'm going to show you the exact 4-step system we use to connect her Bubble app with QuickBooks. And here's the kicker. Not only did this save her 20 hours a month, but she increased her profit margins by 30% because she could finally see which clients and services were actually making money. Stick around to the end, and I'm also going to show you how to get access to our secret weapon, the tool that makes all the OAuth headaches disappear completely. Now, most people think connecting to QuickBooks is just about making some API calls. Wrong, dead wrong. The real challenge isn't in the API. It's the infrastructure nightmare that comes with it. The first thing you're going to need to do is create a developer account with Books, Intuit, and you're going to have to log in and create what they call an app. Think about that as the pipe that's going to handle all of the communications between your Bubble application and your QuickBooks installation. Like a lot of different big API systems, you're going to need to authenticate via an OAuth protocol. That's going to be a step to create the initial connection. And then every time you want to communicate, you're going to need to make sure that the access tokens you have are still valid. And if not, you're going to have to refresh them. And then you make your API calls. And then you actually make all of that data come into your Bubble application and you make it useful. There's a lot of steps going on here. And I learned this the hard way back in my IBM days when we were building enterprise integrations. I remember one client, huge manufacturing company, and their system would crash every week because nobody understood that when you're connecting applications like this, there's protocols that have to be in place. And in today's world, those protocols are validating and maintaining your connection tokens. That's where Nango comes in. And Nango is like having a Swiss Army knife for API connections. It handles all of the OAuth nightmares. You can have 50 different connections in your Bubble application, and you don't have to build anything special for each one. Each one will be just a few different things in the Nango call that you make. It works with over 400 platforms. I'm not just talking about QuickBooks here. You want to connect to X, you want to connect to Facebook, or you want to connect to Google, or you want to connect to Gmail. You name it, you can use Nango to do that. And I've made a full video on how to use Nango with Bubble. That's in our resource center. Here's the beautiful thing. Instead of spending weeks debugging the OAuth and the connection stuff, we've actually built our own private Nango plugin for Bubble that we can give to our customers. And it'll save you a whole lot of time. It already comes with all of the calls created and everything. It makes things super simple. And if that's something you're interested in for your application, first go watch the video I made on Nango and then just reach out to us and we'll figure out a way to make you get access to that. And then one thing that really helps is that this doesn't just create the OAuth connections, but it actually helps you maintain all of those connection tokens and just automatically on the fly refresh them before you make your API calls so that you don't have to worry about all of that tedious backend stuff. Once you've got that, let's jump into the bubble builder and go into the plugins API connector. And here's where you're going to want to create your API calls for QuickBooks. And I'm just going to show you one here. Let's look at the profit and loss report here. And basically, in this case, I'm going to send a GET request. It's going to run a report in QuickBooks, and it's going to send me back all of the data for that report. And I can pass it through my start date and my end date and the accounting method or the summarized by months or by types or whatever I want to do. And then it's going to send me back the actual data. One of the things here, and you can pull in general ledger information, basically anything you can do in QuickBooks, you can actually do via their API. You want to create a new invoice in QuickBooks, you can do that. You want to add in a new journal entry, record an expense, you can do that. You want to run a report, or basically anything that you would do natively in QuickBooks, you can automate through the API. You're going to create as many API calls as you need for your use case. There is a catch. QuickBooks returns data in this really complicated JSON structure, especially when you're running reports. If you run a profit and loss report, it's not going to return a simple profit and loss report structure where it has the accounts and the totals. It's going to return a much more complicated JSON structure because all reports return the same structure. In fact, I'm going to show you here on the screen. If we look here, this is the JSON structure of a profit and loss report from QuickBooks. And you can see here that it has the accounting standard here. It has the definition of the different columns that are included in this report. Then it has all of the rows of the report, and it could be multiple levels. And then each section can have a summary where it does the totals for that. And then you can go and it can dig down deeper into, depending on your accounting structure in your specific QuickBooks implementation. Well, it could have 3, 4, 5 levels. One of the key ways to process this and to manipulate this super complicated JSON structure that you're going to get back is by using a plugin called the JSON Assistant and a system called JSONata. I've recorded an entire video on that, so I'm not going to dig into the details of that. Go check out that video. It's in our resource center as well, so you can find it there. It will allow you to basically extract the information you need and manipulate it and bring it into your Bubble application. So really powerful stuff there. Once you've done that, now you need to build the workflows that actually do that. I'm going to show you a workflow in the Bubble Builder here. This backend workflow actually manipulates the JSON data in the backend. So what I do is when I make the API call the first time, I store the entire results of that API call in a text field in the database. And that way I can refer back to it and pull out different pieces of information that I might need on the fly when I actually need them. And in this case, I'm pulling in 2 levels deep of the profit and loss report. And I'm building a system that allows me to create a Bubble database, a budget, and then extract the actual data from QuickBooks, put it into the same database, and let the user see and compare budget information with the actual information where they've gone over or under. And I think that's a pretty cool example. And you can see here where I load the data for this report. This is calling my API call. And then the next step I'm doing here is I'm just storing the response of that call into a field in my Bubble application. And then you can manipulate this information once you have it in Bubble, however you want. You can keep the QuickBooks information just stored in the API structure and then pull it out when you need it. Or if there's specific pieces that you want to put into a specific table in Bubble, you could do that as well. One recommendation that I will give you is that if you want to take JSON structured data and populate a bunch of rows in a table in Bubble, the best way to do that is by using this plugin and then scheduling your workflow over a list. And then you just pass it this list of API responses and let it go one by one through that list and add a row into your table for each one. Very powerful, makes that, runs in the background, doesn't slow things down. So cool tip there for you. Let me tell you about another client, a small agency that was drowning in manual financial reporting. So they had QuickBooks and they had project management and Bubble, but they were connecting things were really killing them. And we implemented this system. And here's what happened. Their monthly financial close went from 5 days to 2 hours. Their profit per project increased because they could finally see which projects were bleeding money, and their cash flow improved dramatically because they could proactively manage receivables. And the owner told me, Dennis, this integration literally saved my business. That's the power of connecting your operational data with your financial data. Look, QuickBooks with Bubble isn't just about syncing data. It's about transforming your business intelligence. It's about making decisions based on real-time financial data instead of gut feelings and outdated reports. I've been doing this for 40 years, from the early days with floppy disks and CPM and operating systems to what we're seeing today with cloud-based systems and Bubble AI. And we've built applications, pull in QuickBooks data and use AI to analyze the information and give really good insights. So there's so much you can do with this. If you're serious about taking your Bubble application to the next level, I've got something special for you. We've put together our complete no-code resource center, and it's completely free. All you have to do is use the link below, or you go to ratio.dev, you give us your name and your email, and you get immediate access. That's where we have our videos, our podcast episodes, the how-to guides, create books to read, tips, and just about anything that you might need on your Bubble journey. So I really recommend that you get that and you apply it. We update it every week, so it's going to be really useful for you. And by the way, if you want to integrate your QuickBooks with your Bubble application, and this seems like a lot of work that you don't want to do in-house, feel free to reach out to us. We'd be more than happy to help you here at ratio.dev. That's what we do, and we'll get you sorted ASAP. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, give it a thumbs up, a like, share it with somebody that might need it. If you'd like to subscribe to our channel, we'd really appreciate that. It means the world to us. And see you in the next video. Huh.